The year is 2050. You wake up in your bed on an ordinary morning. Without even opening your eyes, you send a command from your mind to the coffee machine to start working. You hear the sound of the machine running from the kitchen. That day, you have a meeting for work with a delegation from Japan. However, you do not know a single word of Japanese. You do not panic at all. You just focus on your mind, connect to the cloud system, and begin downloading the Japanese language pack into your brain. In just a few seconds, you get out of bed knowing that language as fluently as if you had been speaking it since the day you were born. No phone, no keyboard, no screen. Everything happens directly inside your head. Now, let's return to the present day. What if you could transfer your thoughts directly to a computer? What if your brain was connected to the internet, artificial intelligence, and the information pool of all humanity 24 hours a day? Today, we take a close look at brain-computer interfaces, that terrifying technology that looks like it came out of science fiction movies but is being secretly developed by billionaires in laboratories. If the human brain and artificial intelligence merge, what really happens? The name of this crazy idea in the scientific world is brain-computer interface technology. In the simplest terms, it is establishing a direct, wired, or wireless connection between the human brain and a computer. This technology works in two ways: signal reading and signal writing. Initially, these systems were designed entirely to create a medical miracle. It was aimed for patients who had suffered spinal cord paralysis and could not use their arms and legs to move a robotic arm or play with a mouse cursor on a screen just with the power of thought. The brain gives the command to move, the artificial intelligence in between translates this command into a digital code, and the robotic arm fulfills this command. This is a very noble and humanitarian purpose. However, when artificial intelligence and the internet are included, this technology ceases to be just a tool that heals patients and turns into a weapon that will change human evolution. So, at what stage are we really right now? You must have seen news of people having chips installed in their brains on the internet. The Neuralink company, founded by Elon Musk, managed to place a chip the size of a coin into the human skull. Thanks to this chip, a paralyzed patient played chess on a computer just by thinking. At the same time, the United States' legendary military research agency, DARPA, is conducting billion-dollar secret projects so that soldiers can control drones with their minds on the battlefield. However, before getting excited or scared, let's look at the real situation. We are at the very beginning of the technology right now. We are still decades away from plugging a cable into the back of our heads and learning to fly a helicopter as in the Matrix movie. What is being done now is only being able to solve very simple and primitive signals. A complete and perfect integration between the human brain and the machine has not yet been established. Why? Because the most complex structure known in the universe sits inside our skull. Our brain. The neurons, that is, nerve cells, in our brain produce tiny electrical signals to communicate with each other. Every time you think, every time you laugh, or every time you move your finger, small lightnings strike in your brain. The task of artificial intelligence is to listen to these lightnings through those microcables placed inside the skull and translate what they mean. It can even take it a step further and give you a fake sensation by sending an electrical signal to your brain from the outside. But the real challenge here is this. There are exactly 86 billion neurons in the human brain. 86 billion. Imagine 86 billion people in a stadium talking in different languages at the same time, and you are trying to pull out a single meaningful sentence from this noise. This is exactly the massive mathematical chaos that scientists are currently trying to solve. Let's say 10 years or 50 years later we solved this problem. The human brain and artificial intelligence merged perfectly. What will change in our lives? First, we will experience memory expansion. You will not be limited by the capacity of your own brain. All the information on the internet, all the articles on Wikipedia will flow into your mind in seconds. You will not try to remember a historical piece of information you need. You will just visualize the question in your mind and the answer will appear in your brain instantly. You will think almost like Google. Second is physical control through thought. You won't need to press a button to turn off the lights in your smart home, start your car, or manage the giant robots in the factory. It will be enough to look at the devices and want it. Third and perhaps the most magical is communication between minds. That is, digital telepathy. People will be able to communicate without talking to each other, without writing messages, just by thinking. You will be able to send not just a word to the person in front of you, but a complex emotion you feel at that moment or a landscape you see directly to their brain. And finally, fast learning. Years of education will come to an end. You will be able to load how to land a plane or how to perform a complex surgery directly into your mind like a software package. To understand why this union is so desired, it is necessary to compare the nature of human and machine. Humans are incredibly creative. We have intuitions, emotions, and imagination. However, we learn very slowly and we forget information very quickly. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, has a superhuman speed. It processes billions of data in seconds, never gets tired, and works with a perfect logic. However, artificial intelligence does not have a soul, creativity, or intuition. Here, when we put a chip in our brain, human creativity and the perfect speed of the machine will merge. A brand new species, almost a hybrid superintelligence, will emerge. However, every great power has a very dark price. Now we come to how this dream can turn into a nightmare. To the most critical part. The first and greatest danger is mind hacking. Today, when your computer is hacked, you lose your bank accounts. But what happens if your brain is hacked? A malicious software developer or a terrorist organization can enter your mind directly. They can read your most secret thoughts, delete your memories, or even worse, they can load fake thoughts and orders into your mind that do not belong to you. Imagine an advertisement pop-up suddenly entering into a dream you are having or blindly defending a political view that does not actually belong to you when you wake up. The second risk is the loss of identity. If an artificial intelligence algorithm takes half of the decisions in your brain, at the end of the day when you look in the mirror, you will ask yourself this question. Who am I really? Was this decision I made mine, or did it belong to the software inside my head? The third big problem is inequality. When these chips first come out, they will be incredibly expensive. The rich people in the world will have these chips installed and turn into superintelligences who read thousands of books a second and never forget. The remaining billions of poor people will become a biological lower class. For the first time in the world, intelligence and evolution will be able to be bought with money. The fourth danger is artificial intelligence safety, known in scientific terms as the alignment problem. What if the artificial intelligence inside your head becomes smarter than you and takes complete control over your body? Won't you have handed over the steering wheel of your car to the machine with your own hands? There are still massive biological obstacles in the way of all these scenarios coming true. First, the human brain hates metal and silicon. Our brain is a soft, wet, and constantly moving organ. When you place a hard chip there, the body's immune system perceives that chip as an enemy and covers it with scar tissue. This blinds the signal communication over time. Second, we still haven't been able to fully map the brain. And third, no doctor yet knows exactly what kind of biological destruction an instantaneous disconnection or a virus will create in the human brain while transferring data to the mind over the internet. There are three different future scenarios awaiting humanity. In the first scenario, the utopian future, all neurological diseases such as Alzheimer's, schizophrenia, or blindness become a thing of the past thanks to brain chips. People work together much smarter and more peacefully to solve the mysteries of the universe. In the second scenario, the dystopian future, there is a dark dictatorship. Governments monitor what everyone thinks second by second thanks to these chips installed in citizens' brains. You don't need to commit a crime. Even just thinking about the crime is enough for you to be arrested. The concept of freedom of thought is completely destroyed. The third and most realistic scenario is a gray world. Technology will enter our lives gradually. First, patients will use it, then the rich will buy it like a luxury toy. Over time, it will become cheaper and turn into a massive and ordinary market that everyone has to use, just like smartphones. Throughout human history, we have given the same reaction to every new revolutionary technology. This time will be no different. Humanity will first approach these chips with great fear and hatred. Protests will be held. Religious groups will argue that this is against human nature. In the next stage, the acceptance process will begin slowly. As people see how successful those with chips are in business life and exams, they will slowly adopt this system to avoid being left behind. And in the final stage, just as we are to our smartphones today, we will become completely dependent on this artificial intelligence network in our minds. When that chip goes offline for a moment, we will feel blind and deaf. At the end of all this journey, there is only one truth we must accept. This technology is definitely coming. It is impossible to stop it or lock the doors of laboratories. Because humanity has always wanted to exceed its limits and reach godlike powers. Now, the question we should ask ourselves is not whether we can develop this technology. The big question we should ask, and which will determine the fate of humanity, is this. Can we really control this inconceivable power that we have invited inside our own minds? Or will we finally hand over that small control room inside our skull to machines with our own hands? Well, what do you think about this? If one day you were given the chance to have such a chip that promises super intelligence installed in your brain, would you take this risk? Share your thoughts and fears with me in the comments. To continue exploring the boundaries of the future, do not forget to subscribe and turn on the bell.